the live stream?
No.
No, I thought
Was
there
that
was
just
a
a
countdown
tribute?
beforehand.
There was a countdown
Yeah, but it
before.
didn't connect because internet's.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
This is a tribute.
The interwebs are
Speaking of the
being.
Tenacious
We
D,
seem to be. Oh, that's the old one.
there was a TikTok that went around recently because I guess Lizzo and Jack Black were on.
The Mandalorian. Weird episode. Weird feel, but yeah, they were on it.
Yeah. So
Yeah, that was a strange episode. It felt like a section in like a video game.
NCIS. That's what it was.
All right, we are live.
Was it?
Confirmed.
Really?
Confirmed
That's what,
live.
that's what it felt. Or not, or just CSI. That's what it felt like.
I have no idea what's wrong with my camera. It's totally broken.
Are you sure you're not just in a really dark room?
Yes.
Did you try turning it on and off again?
I'm going to try that 3 times.
On the
You gotta
YouTube
get the
stream,
camera
it's
marked
just a
forward.
transparent alpha channel. That's great.
Now it says FM Florida Man.
Yeah.
I
don't
prefer
know.
AM.
I'll figure it out. here.
AM Florida Man is the better Florida Man. For sure.
It's longer range.
I changed my setup and it didn't help.
Well, we're I guess we're troubleshooting some back end issues.
So while I was on vacation, there was no news that happened, right? Like the
None.
world just went quiet because I didn't see anything.
It's severely less exciting with you gone. I'll give you that.
Without what?
Oh, thanks,
right.
Wade.
Why would anyone make the news if Corey wasn't here to talk about it?
You know, right?
We gotta wait.
Yeah, if I can't like give random hot takes that have no basis in actual fact, then is it really news?
No.
I do have a question for you, Corey.
Uh-oh.
Okay. I'm ready.
You while you were out, you weren't involved in any sort of legal action with Shelly Shrimp, were you?
I mean, there could have been some goods exchanged across international borders.
Okay, fair enough.
People helping people. It's a powerful thing.
I mean, I did cross the border into Canada, so at that point, the U.S. browser data collection machine just ground to a halt and couldn't
Right.
get all my cookies and things because of GDPR or something.
They went immediately into the TSA pre-check mode. They're like, this laptop's going to take a while. Just send everybody through.
Is Canada in GDPR?
Oh, they are according to me, which I just made up.
Oh,
No,
okay.
It's European. No, Canada
Throw it in.
actually they literally just steal our laws, as far as I know.
Well, it's like California, right? Everyone just steals California's laws.
They're like, hold on, copy, paste, change some random O's to UOs, and then we're good to go.
Add a few sorries.
I still think it's funny. A friend of mine was going into Canada. He was driving, and he had a whole bunch of computers and flight cases, and they pulled him over. And they're going through, and they're like, why do you have all these computers? And he thought he would just joke with him. Honestly, I can't remember what joke he made about the computers, but I do remember his next joke. They got really frustrated with him, and he said, you're taking this whole independent state thing like way too seriously. And yeah, he got held over for a few
You don't want to
hours.
joke with the border patrol people. You don't want to joke.
bounties?
That's not the.
Oh, I've joked with the Border Patrol people, but not that joke. Like that's going.
You don't joke about sovereignty.
No.
No.
Ian's pelican case is the best.
Oh yeah, it's right next.
Yeah, I love that one. It does not contain actual pelicans.
Which is important because they ask you if you have any produce or other fresh goods.
How's that backwards?
He's
Yeah,
mirrored.
it is backwards.
Oh,
Oh,
He's
you
even
gotta put
decided
them
to
out.
Oh,
start
he's got mirroring on.
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
realize that. Oh, you know what? I do have mirroring on because whenever I have to do the puppets, it has to be mirrored, or I will be all over the place. Not that I do puppets; those are real creatures and they talk.
They're members of his family.
That's right.
Provides
They're on
for
his
them.
insurance.
When we were coming back.
All right, let's go live, folks.
Do that.
We are live.
Fire the
Well,
laser.
let's kick off the show,
Any
right?
of us are really live.
Roll the finger.
Oh, I'm getting there. I got to pop up.
Ryan was alt tab looking at like some random stuff.
What's going on?
Hello and welcome to another edition of Black Hills Information Security, talking about news. In this episode, we'll be talking about IRS. What? Serving up JS malware? Oh man, that's just taxes keep getting worse. Hackers using Log4j bug to attack victims through something called proxyjacking. 2/5 of people lie. I'm sure there's a joke there somewhere. about the other 3/5. Samsung is reportedly using ChatGPT in a way that we totally did not predict on this show ever. Tesla workers are spying on you, and apparently Pizza Hut is still in business. Who knew? I am joined this week by our illustrious cast and characters of Black Hills Information Security and other places. We've got Ryan making us look good, sound good, and feel good. Mike, as always, is rocking the blue team shirt. We have Cameron, who has books behind her, and I'm trying desperately to read what books they are. As always, we have Wade. We also have the prodigal pun. We got Bronwyn, Ian, and Florida Man, who finally, in the nick of time, got his camera working. And we have
Yay.
Eric. Welcome, Eric. So, which story do we want to start with here first, folks? Because there's a lot going on.
I mean, let's start with taxes. I feel like it's a taxi day.
Oh, he's
Saturday, right? Saturday is like the last day you got to turn in.
Ralph, your audio
okay.
sounds like I don't even know what, but it's
Yeah.
really fun.
The camera's working and your mic decided to leave.
So, okay, so it's not actually
Fixed.
IRS-authorized efile.com.
efile.com.
So this is like being IRS authorized. Is that like being, a deputy sheriff or something? Like, is that real? Like, what is
I
it?
think it's pretty close to that deputy sheriff thing, honestly.
It's like I'm IRS authorized. That probably means you submitted a form 1099-997 software edition.
Yeah,
Similar to like assistant to the regional manager.
It's the IRS's assistant to the regional IRS. So yeah. Apparently efile.com was serving up JS malware. Was it unintentional or intentional?
I
The website was hacked, I believe.
I believe with White Cyber Duck, this is the prime reason why you should just never do your taxes.
this is never do taxes. Hey, if it works for patching, we can use it for taxes. We're
Yeah.
never going to patch again because that patch crashed the system. I don't have this problem because I'm a sovereign citizen. No, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So here's
You're gonna do sovereign citizen jokes because if you're a sovereign
no.
citizen and listening, you're funny. I'm sorry.
No, actually,
The
the
bumper
Texas
sticker
is
not
blocked
for
from
hire.
Texas can't join. But yeah, no. So this is my take on this is somehow an example of if you see an SSL certificate error,
Just
you
don't
should
go
actually
Just keep going.
you should actually care now.
Oh.
Things have changed.
It's weird. This is one of those like pet peeve security things that really bothers me in the industry is traveling around and going to a lot of different organizations. It seems like anytime I spend time working with a company, they have a website that throws SSL TLS errors and they always go say the same thing. Oh, go ahead. Just accept that. That's fine. It's like we're constantly training our users just to accept whatever error message pops up because it's going to be okay.
So,
I love that kind
basically.
of stuff. The not even the SSL one, but I got to throw this in because it killed me at the last company I was at, and every company I was at. If you use Office 365, right, and you send a SharePoint document or something like that, and it comes from SharePoint, even though it's your SharePoint instance or your whatever, it shows up as email from an external provider unless you actually go in and configure your email gateway properly. So entire organizations are just training their employees all day long.
Constantly.
Click on the thing because, oh, no, it's fine. It's external. It's fine.
I
Oh,
was-
yeah, it's fine. It's
I
fine.
was actually I think I was at a company in Tennessee.
Mhm.
I was giving a security presentation and they did their user awareness thing before and they were talking about just this topic. They showed up an SSL TLS error and they're like, this is what it looks like. Stay away from the sites. And then people started raising their hand. They're like, well, in order for us to submit our timesheets, we get that same error every time we submit our timesheets. Like, okay, timesheet websites, okay, that's fine. Our help desk website also throws their, okay, that website, totally okay. And I'm just like, oh my God.
This is why we keep our jobs. All right. This is
Yeah.
exactly why. Let them keep clicking it. I like job security. It gives me stuff to do and read logs. Not really, but
Yeah.
I have found like almost no one is good at internal certifications either. Is that
What do you
common?
mean?
Like
Internal CAs?
yeah, like
Oh no.
it's
God, no.
always
Bro.
always a mess. Like the whole system is just like horrible no matter what company I've ever worked at.
So do you all know the history of SSL, like the original history of SSL?
The Netscape shopping carts, that stuff. Yeah.
No, it was actually predated shopping cart. So the Netscape stuff, it absolutely was Netscape. And they got some requests for the Department of Defense and the United States government. They said, is it possible for you to do end-to-end encryption? So they basically threw this together as a proof of concept over the course of like a week to show that it could be done. And just like everything, the proof of concept, as soon
That's
as the
good enough.
presentation was over, they were like, this is brilliant. Let's implement it immediately everywhere. And the developers were like, whoa, this is a POC. Like actually, they actually had like Pascal strings. Like if you looked at certificates, one of the things Moxie Marlinspike found is, I think it was Pascal, but it was a coding language, and you could actually put in escape characters in that coding language in your certificate name, and it would ignore everything after it. How quickly it was implemented. It literally Ben just said 30 years later, we're still using the proof of concept for SSL TLS to this day. So.
Oh yeah.
Imagine being Diffie or Hellman. You're like, you can't put my name on this crap.
No. And the guys at RSA, they're all like, we're good, we're rich, whatever. I'll be in my yacht. I'll be fine.
You touched on one of my favorite fun facts whenever someone's being extra trolly online about SSL and TLS, and you say, oh, the SSL connection, and they go, oh, you mean TLS? Nobody calls it SSL anymore. And I go, yeah,
you're new.
Yeah. Oh, you're new here. Cool. The fun fact is, though, I'll ask them. I'm like, cool. Why did we change it to TLS? Why didn't we just call it SSL v4? And if you're so aware, and they go, oh, because it's better and it does all this stuff. I go, no, it was a copyright. It was to get around having to write TLS. TM, whatever, because Netscape owned the copyright. That's the only reason the acronym changed. Yes, it does more stuff. Yes, it does all that, but to make it truly open source, it's a copyright. That's it.
That's it. No, I do. I hate that whole attitude we see again and again and again. It's like, well, no one uses this anymore. And it's like, you very much are adorable and you're new and you're like a little kindergartner in InfoSec. And oh my God, he's taking his first steps. He's not jaded yet. So, oh God. So
have you replenished your puppies, John? Your puppy?
Oh, for Jonathan?
No, we don't say the name.
I don't say his name. The one who shall not be named.
Right.
No, I'm not afraid of him. I did read his paper and it's garbage, but I decided not to talk about him anymore. So we'll just leave it at that.
I just want to know if you had your puppies replenished.
Yeah, I've got puppies. I've got puppies for the trolls. So we got puppies for trolls. Let's move on to another story because that was already depressing.
Someone's using Log4j. Yeah.
I was going to say, is this ever going to die?
No.
Apparently
We'll
not.
talk about this one.
It's a gift that keeps on giving.
I thought it was dead, but this is like zombie 4j.
All right. So hackers using Log4j bug to profit from victim IP addresses through proxyjacking scheme. Oh, fun.
Yeah, so this is, I guess we're calling it now proxyware. We've actually talked about it on the show before, but there are less than reputable organizations that basically you install an application and it says, do you want ads or do you want to play in the botnet? And the second option is not clearly explained. And people click play in the botnet, and then that proxy can be used as a resale. It can be resold because residential IP addresses or other IP addresses are a commodity now because of anti-bot detections and other things. So it looks like people are essentially exploiting vulnerabilities to grab the data that can be sold to these organizations, I guess. I mean, that's my take on it. Has anyone looked into the actual malware? I haven't looked into the malware on this, but this whole thing, like the whole proxy space is just ugly as hell. It's like one layer worse than the VPN providers that are out there. It's pretty much the same thing, but like my son is into gaming and he's also into like Discord and hanging out with friends. And I'm an InfoSec professional. So he's constantly installing new proxy software, VPN software all the time. And the thing that gets me is I do this for a living and it's getting hard to detect some of these things. I mean, I detected, I've got AC Hunter Community Edition up and running at my house and he hates it. And I'm able to see like, okay, all of a sudden these 4 websites, they're usually like diffusing the traffic across multiple websites, but there's just tremendous amounts of traffic going to websites that you can't connect to with a browser. And it's, I don't know. And all of this stuff, I should just sit down and just go through it because it has to be riddled with malware. There's no way his systems aren't. You got to DMZ your kids. That's like step one.
He must be killing his KD ratio right now.
Yeah.
Could you imagine that ping increase? Like you're not popping heads at all.
Yeah.
With AC100 in the
I
background.
mean, he has a point actually.
What's the SLA on the the millisecond round trip here?
I mean,
tying this to another news story, the thing that scares me most about this kind of thing, and John, you nailed it with like the kids and the gaming, right? Is the whole Restrict Act and the whole TikTok bans. If you think for a hot second that you're going to ban TikTok in the preteen to college set and not end up with a million people using these super sketchy proxy tools and owning every device that are on there, well...
No, I hadn't been following this too much, but there's also some stuff in there about using a VPN. It is not just trying to shut down TikTok, correct?
Correct.
Ian?
It's actually really badly executed and gives them broad control over things that really they shouldn't have control over. They can like modify the block list later. It's pretty sketchy. Definitely would recommend if not. If you have any political will whatsoever, tell your senator or whoever to vote against it.
You just see people scrambling. Is this a Republican thing? Is this a Democrat thing?
You don't have to love TikTok.
What does my bumper sticker tell me I should care about this one? Like, my political affiliations.
If somehow you didn't already assume this, it's not about TikTok. It's about more control and more ways to profit from your, or I guess to weaponize TikTok to use for other, political motivations. Like every bill, it's an omnibus, right? So
well, and I went through and I brought it up on Twitter, just kind of see the pulse of the Twitter because I hate myself. And I was basically asking a question. It's like, do you think that this is about TikTok or do you think this is about American companies that are really frustrated about not having that access to that attention of all of these kids and people that are using TikTok? And there was a lot of people who are like, oh no, it's absolutely an issue for like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, everything. But there was still a lot of people that are like, no, this is totally different because it's the Chinese. And I can't quite figure out why. Okay, so I get it. It's the Chinese. I get it. They may be trying to shove all kinds of like horrible things at the youth of America. But how is that any different than like Twitter and Instagram and everything else?
It's not. We just don't have control over them.
I think
you guys all missed our in-depth discussion that we had a pretty deep topic about this last week.
Yeah,
really? It pretty much went into because China wants to be able to control the narration, right? They now have access to that, and what you're seeing possibly push you stuff to go their way.
The algorithm.
So the algorithm.
It's just a different flavor.
It's a different flavor, but
it's a flavor they don't like because it's a flavor that tastes like
exactly.
I can see China trying to like do this, right? They're like, okay, we're going to send all of these things to Americans and we're going to make them, stop studying and stop doing video games. And it's like, what? Like, U.S. companies are pushing, like the automated algorithms are getting them to eat Tide Pods? How the hell did they do that? No, we're not even that evil. What? Like,
I think if you use the Russian narration pushing as an example, right? Like they were pretty freaking good at it and they didn't have access to a large amount of data like this or the largest social media network, right? But
absolutely. But I think it comes back to the big problem. I keep, you guys already talked about it. We should probably move on, but the big problem is no company should have this level of access to the mind share of humans.
Correct.
Everywhere, not just in the United States.
Yeah, the fact that it's China means that it is much more politically easier to be like, save the kids, which I guess is my tagline now. But like, definitely that like it's just a political angle, and that's the thin end of the wedge, and then the wedge expands to like.
I think the other big thing is the veil is starting to lift on US being the number one. China is slowly going to take us over, and this is I think one of the bigger, the first big hits that we're seeing them actually do something where they're beating us pretty gnarly, at least from a social standpoint. Not from
they can make brain candy better than we can, but is is that a reason to ban it?
What's Dad doing up in the attic? No, I'm not going to go there.
Right. But then, to what degree do we see that as a response to the White House's cybersecurity initiative?
Which one? Because there was the one where they were basically telling everyone to move to the cloud as quickly as possible.
I mean, from like a month ago, when they're saying here's our new cyber
Executive
defense
order.
strategy, but it's like big picture, right? And more regulation, but then we have the Restrict Act announced not long thereafter.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
interesting
my
and
question when they released it is who wrote it? There's
Right.
no names on it. It just says the Biden administration. Like, is there any industry context, or did you just come up with this?
It's a bunch of pages.
So here's the thing, right? So I am not surprised at all by the Restrict Act. What I am surprised with is that our the leading experts, the tech geniuses inside of our Congress would come up with something that might potentially not have all the factors in line. And that kind of does lead us to this other story, this 2/5 of IT pros told to keep quiet. Real professionals doing real professional stuff.
Don't cut.
So 2/5. I don't do fractions much.
Metric? I don't understand.
It said over 2/5, so
Yeah,
90%.
You don't talk about Fight Club. That's rule number 1.
Yeah.
So wait, over. So okay, they're told to keep breaches quiet. This is not surprising. Cover up is the default move anytime there's a crisis. We know this. Just cover it up. So this is our old friend Phil Muncaster. I feel like we put this guy's articles in our show almost every week.
You're welcome.
He's
Phil.
ad teching us.
Phil, you should just come on. It's just easier.
Come on the show, Phil. We love you.
We don't care about self-promotion like Reddit does. Just come on. And
we find out Phil is really AI, and it's like the best one ever.
Best AI we've ever had.
ChatGPT
this one bothered me because I do remember back when I first got started in this industry, there was a lot of, hey, let's keep this quiet. Let's keep this quiet. And I haven't seen it that much recently. And I think that's probably like a selection bias for BHIS, but
they're just doing better at keeping it quiet.
That's what I think it really is, to tell you the truth. This is why
CSOs get the big bucks. This is why they get the big bucks, because they're the ones taking the risk on being like, cover it up.
Cover it up. Bury this in the backyard.
Who was it that got actual jail time?
The Uber executive.
The Uber executive, right? Which I'm sure that.
Yeah, but that's because he threatened to kill some people. It wasn't because he covered it up.
Yeah, he went full DPR. He went full DPR.
The rest of the story.
He went full CISO. All right.
Yeah. He went full.
So I guess I don't think these figures are surprising. I think we do the public perception has sort of been like, well, yeah, everyone got breached. So it's not really that newsworthy anymore. People don't seem to care. They're like, Target got breached. I mean, whatever. I'll just go back to Target.
But that's it, right? It used to be if you got breached, it'd be in the news. It was a big deal. People would talk about it. Now it's not even front page news unless it's multiple hundreds of millions of people. I'm just shocked that we still have people like, oh no, we can't talk about this. Let's cover it up, because it happens so much.
I think it's because of fees, right? They don't want to pay any type of hit whatsoever, or financial companies that don't want to really release that data, because I feel like they're a little bit more on the hook, especially with data when they're supposed to be more secure, even though they do get hit. But a lot of the time, I'm going to say it's just they don't want to walk through that regulation and then have to pay all those lawyer fees.
Yeah, okay, so I think the fees and fines are broken where I'm not deep in the PCI world, but I've been pen testing for 10 years and never have I ever seen a company that fails a PCI compliance check ever. And I'm talking it just doesn't happen. No one is actually yanking compliance. No one is actually handing out heavy fees. I think what we need to do is make it so that if you don't report the breach and then it turns out there was a breach and you knew about it, that there's a massive let's just call it a multiplier. You know what I mean? It's well, congratulations,
combo.
You hit the doubler.
You got the wombo combo.
All doubled. Yeah,
we're gonna double down on this one.
5x combo. You got breached 5 times and never told anyone.
I think a lot of that number though is going to be not from big corporations. It's going to be those medium-sized companies, right? The small mediums is where they're telling you not to say anything. The ones who can't take that.
Yeah. And the organization's over 1,000 employees. The other statistic that once again, this really bothers me, right? It says the US also topped the list in terms of share of respondents who'd claim they've been told to keep the breach secret. 71% in the United States. In all other countries surveyed, France, Italy, Germany, Spain, and the UK, it was at the global average, which is right like 42 or whatever. So this gets to a question of like GDPR. I would think with GDPR being an accountability framework, that there would be more of keep it quiet because you have actual fines that can be levied against your organization due to GDPR. We don't have anything like that in the United States yet.
Well, hold on, because I wanted to talk about that. This comment here, the keep it quiet is not the same as let legal and PR deliver the message to G-Sparks. I agree with you 100%. I would want to see how this survey was structured, because I've been at large companies where, you'll tell the engineering team, hey, you don't talk about this to anyone, it's getting handled. And when they don't see it on front page news, they're like, this didn't get handled, and I was told to keep this quiet. I'd like to see how these questions were asked, because I've been in a room where the legal team, the PR team, they're the ones delivering it, and internal counsel has gone, listen, everywhere where data was leaked, we checked the state privacy laws, we checked the breach response laws, and what we have, although bad, and we're going to handle it and we're going to take care of it, does not require us to report.
So that's a whole nother, that brings up a whole nother spin, Ian.
Right.
Because I've worked breaches, and I've talked to people, and I've literally told them to shut the hell up.
Yeah.
Do not talk about this, because all of the messaging needs to come through like marketing, or what is it? The crisis management team should be handling all of that. And I wonder if that's why the numbers are so high, is they have been told specifically, like, look, you're an intern. Do not go on Twitter talking about this breach. I could see, and I've done that. I have literally told people, do not talk about this. Anything that's going to be talked about publicly has got to be handled under public relations or management, and it has to get vetted through legal. That I can totally get. But I guess we don't have that type of context.
I think this also goes back to the blue teams really can't talk about anything cool they do, right? Like you're not supposed to talk about stuff. You could easily be traced back to where you were talking about it, and then possibly get in some type of legal trouble. Like I do not like talking. Sometimes a story slips out of me and I'm like, oh my God, I should not have told that story. And it's happened multiple times, and I'm always scared that it's going to come back to bite me.
And I think that that's harder for a blue teamer, right? Because you look at your resume, you're going to have like 5 companies that you've worked with, right? Unless you're Mandy and you're doing IR all the time. On the red team side, I always tell the testers, lie. If you're going to talk about a breach, or not a breach, if you're going to talk about a pen test that you did, and this was in a Fortune 5 company, make it a Fortune 100 company. If it's a healthcare company, make it manufacturing. If it's education, make it DoD. Kind of get to the crux of what is the lesson to be learned about that breach. And I think that red teamers, we have a lot more flexibility in that, because, whenever we're doing like 650 assessments per year, it's a lot harder to go through and be like, well, what company was John talking about? Because it's literally thousands.
I mean, you have to breach BHIS to even get that data in the first place. So like we don't publish a list of our customers online or something.
Yeah. Oh God. So that's what I recommend whenever testers are talking about talks that they want to give, just obfuscate it. And I do that all the time, and it works out pretty well. And I've been open about that. So if people like John lies about his stuff, yeah, I do. I'm not going to be like, here's this exact company and what we did with that company, because that would not work.
So if you do get breached, what you should do is go on ChatGPT and ask it to write a breach disclosure for you.
That's what we see all the time. It's the same one.
No. Are we going to talk about Samson reportedly?
That was a segue.
Secrets? Oh.
So, I mean,
I hate it whenever we talk about this stuff on the show, and we're like, people are going to start using ChatGPT to do their work, and it's going to lead to a breach of like trade secrets, intellectual property, things like that. And then like a few weeks later, it's like, oh God, there it is.
So yeah, and I mean, I will say, like, when I read this article, I was like, okay, what's the upshot of this? Like, for this to matter, Microsoft has to like actually use it. This article basically says the data. Okay, so
they
let's
exposed
pretend
it, but nobody's done anything with it, right?
Well, okay, so let's pretend we work at Microsoft and we have access. We have dev level access to ChatGPT.
Corey, you're asking weird questions. That's
Someone's
why.
How do you
do
get
it.
this data back? Do you just ask ChatGPT?
If there's a will, there's a way for
No,
DLP. All right.
and I believe the way was built around the will. Like ChatGPT exists specifically for this thing. Like it is literally just a big IP theft engine. Once again, the Chinese are breaking into places. They're hacking. They got all these thousands of hackers that are breaking in. And then Microsoft and OpenAI releases ChatGPT, and the Chinese are like, so wait, people just come to this thing and give their intellectual property freely?
Hurry, turn TikTok to an AI.
Yeah, I mean, we've, and if you're wondering what it looks like on, like from our customers' perspective, we've, at least me personally, I've seen a lot of customers that are just issuing blanket bans for ChatGPT across their companies. It seems pretty standard. It's tough though, because if I'm just talking to ChatGPT on my personal computer, good luck. I mean, I can ask ChatGPT like, what if I wanted to design a silicon manufacturing process for 5 nanometer? How would I go about doing it? What company would I hire? Like, they're like, do you work at Samsung? Like, where do you work? It starts ChatGPT's like, I found your address. You're like, no, I work for AMD, not Samsung.
I think White Cyberduck has a point. Said this is a non-story for me. Soon, Word and Outlook will be integrated with ChatGPT. It's
Teams Microsoft has already announced that Teams will have ChatGPT turned on as well. It's all coming within like the next couple months.
I think the real but that's Chat. No,
it's Ralph game is going to be strong.
Ralph, it's ChatGPT for business. Okay, it's for business. You don't when you put for business after it, it's fine. It just makes everything more secure.
Okay.
Yeah, that means it's safe. Yeah.
Microsoft's setting up their security Copilot for God's sake.
Yeah. I'm actually pretty excited.
Right into it.
I'm really
right into our field.
I really want to see the story that's someone actually using this data, because having used ChatGPT, if I was like a Microsoft executive, like let's say you're a Microsoft executive, you're looking at the data that's been harvested from ChatGPT and it's like, really? Samsung's going for a 3 nanometer or whatever trade secret it was. Sure. And then it's like, well, we don't know, sir. It's ChatGPT. So it kind of mined that data on its own. Also, you could totally poison the well. You could be
exactly what I was going to say.
I work at Samsung. I am developing a 3 nanometer process. And then like Intel like secretly steals that information, puts $1 billion into like 3 nanometer. And then they're like, gotcha, that was fake. We're actually working on 2 nanometer.
What was that movie that it was back in the 90s where they were basically two companies and they were trying to steal each other's intellectual property for hair loss treatment? And it was this huge kind of heist movie. And then one company hired all these people to break in and steal the treatment and the cure for hair loss. And the owner of the company that stole it went up on stage and was like, hey, everybody, we've cured hair loss. And everyone's applauding. He gets off stage and they hand him the formula. And they're like, sir, we stole the formula for shampoo. And totally just destroyed him. It'd be that type of thing with ChatGPT.
Yeah, I guess I'm like at an executive level of how could you possibly use this data and have any real confidence in it? But also you could argue that for the other side, like how could you have it write your code and have any confidence in it? But I don't know.
I've had it write me code so much and it works great. Like I'm just like, I don't want to do this. How does this work?
Better.
And it's like plops out. I'm like, perfect. Throw that to my GitHub.
Let's hope you work at Microsoft.
Speaking of stolen data, right? Do you guys hear the Tesla is?
Yes, the Tesla one is great.
That's a shocker. A company run by Elon Musk doing sketchy things.
We're talking about privacy here, and there's not a whole lot anywhere, including in your car, right? So
internal image sharing. This is classic. I mean, the TSA we know has been doing this for years.
Yes, multiple companies, but there's a camera actually inside the Tesla that faces the driver that they're not actively using for anything yet, but they plan to at some point, and I think that's some of the
when are we going to get the portal so law enforcement can request video?
Emergency. It's an emergency. No, it's not going to be that. It's going to be request control of the car.
Control of the car.
God. Oh god,
dude! Insta makes it pull to the shoulder, safely park, and then unlocks the doors and like kicks him out of the car,
and also starts live streaming on Instagram for that.
So to what degree does cyber become warning people not to just use the new shiny no matter what?
Yeah, I don't know.
We all wear our lead foil or gold foil hats depending on how rich you are. So
gold foil. There's a quote here that really bothers me. 2 former Tesla employees told Reuters they weren't bothered by the sharing of images, saying customers had given their consent. or that people long ago had given up reasonable expectation of keeping personal data private.
Yes, I read that too.
I mean,
you shouldn't expect privacy. It's gone.
It's like saying billionaire shares his secret for sleeping at night. Quote, in a yacht. Like, that's basically what that quote said. Like, it's
on a bed full of money.
It's like, surprise, someone who's comfortable with terrible things is also like has some justification they've come up with. It's like, it's fine to beat up people. They consented. What? I mean,
they consented to this.
They resisted arrest. They resisted arrest. I mean,
hold on. I just noticed something in that headline. I don't know how including scenes of intimacy.
Yeah.
Wait. Read the next line. They said we could see their kids, and I'm like,
so creepy.
It's a really long game they were playing there.
Wow.
Wasn't there one about laundry too? Like when you walk through your garage in your underwear to do your laundry?
So, okay, if you buy a Tesla, step one, walk around with a piece of electrical tape and find all the cameras. And
they're all over the car. They're everywhere.
Well, you want to keep the ones on the outside available so the cops can still, turn off your car. But the other ones, you got, the ones facing, I will say, like, it's funny that to me, it's just, they're just putting more nails in the coffin for like horrible decisions. But like, so they've had driver facing cameras the whole time, but they haven't stopped people from getting into massive accidents while oranges are taped to the steering wheel, or like, the famous video of people doing certain activities while driving, or like they've been like, we've been watching you the whole time. We're fine with it. If you're not watching the road,
autopilot.
That's like, fine.
You're watching me drive your car while I'm asleep.
Yes. Well, that's the thing, though. They're not actively watching it. They just went through the footage, and they were like, instead of how could we find the situation to make it better, they were like, no, let's find the really weird stuff. All right, hold on.
No, but what I'm saying is, from a safety perspective, they could have been using this for automated.
For other things.
Yes. And their hard driver 8, they're like the Super Cruise Cadillac system, their sort of competitor to autopilot. It does watch the driver. And if you start falling asleep, or like if you're not looking at the road, or if you're like texting, it'll actually buzz you and say, hey, you're not watching the road. We're going to turn this autopilot off. Tesla could have been doing that the whole time, but of course they don't care. They're like, well, our cars have driven millions of miles, so whatever.
So what did they implement the cameras for to begin with?
They plan to add it later.
That's a good question. Yeah, but they could say that about anything, right?
Well, they've
something in
done
the future.
Yes, they did that with a bunch of stuff in the car. They had things that weren't enabled, and then they software enabled them later, right?
Yeah.
So they
for a subscription fee.
Yes. Right. Well, that's Mercedes. Don't confuse the two.
No, that's BMW.
It's different. But there's so much of the stuff that a human being just can't deal with, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's just crap you don't think about because your brain melts. Like, there are more stars in the universe than there are grains of sand on Earth. That's really something you're just like, you know what? I'm just going to keep that for trivia night. then you can't really get like emotionally attached to something that happens on the other side of the planet because it's not part of your tribe of 100 to 150 people. Like, if that happens to somebody that you know intimately, you feel horrible. If it happens like in New York, you're like, oh, well, that's a bummer. And I think that when you're looking at like the surveillance of everything that's happening, it's the same thing, right?
Yes.
If you start walking around, you're like, my phone is listening to me. My TV has Alexa built into it. My car is watching me constantly. My fridge is listening to everything that I am doing. Like, it's one of those things that I think for a human to be able to maintain sanity, you almost have to like ignore it somehow. I
would
don't
say
know how you function.
If the car drove completely autonomously and I just knew I had no privacy in the car whatsoever, I think that would be an equal trade-off for me.
Well, that's
like
the
you
assumption.
never have to drive, right?
Well, you will occasionally run over a biker, but basically,
just hopefully
I think what this is that this is an example of I'm not necessarily against the data being necessary. Like, if you buy a Tesla and you have autopilot enabled, it should be watching you to make sure that you're actually watching the road and not texting or doing other activities. So basically, I'm fine with that trade-off, but that whole system needs to be a closed loop. You can't be like, yes, the car monitors you, but also we can just go on Twitter and look at the images of you. Like that's like when the internal employees have access to it, like manually, that's where I draw the line of like, that is crossing an ethical boundary. If the car has its own closed loop system, that's one thing. But if it's like,
that's why I think all of this shit needs to be like under PHI. It all needs to be covered under HIPAA. So they can't sell it. You can't just share it willy-nilly. Like if you're in a hospital, people can't just take pictures and be like, check out this dude. He's got Muppet toes. You can't do that. The hospital will get sued into oblivion. But yet, if you're walking around Wade's car and you're doing laundry in your underwear, apparently Tesla can totally just take that, right? I think that once again, I think that is the solution. Whether it's ad tracking data, whether it's camera data, it all needs to be covered under PHI, under HIPAA. There has to be some controls over this. This is nuts.
Yes, it's just because someone consented. Like this cannot be the toothpick that they're standing on from a legal perspective. It's like they consented. Like it's just insane. It's like, well, yeah. I mean, there was I was trying to drive to McDonald's and there was like a 50-page terms of service update and it just said accept. So I clicked it. Like I didn't.
It's a freaking McDonald's app. Yeah. I just want a big freaking Mac.
I just clicked accept. I don't know what I subscribe to. Like that is it's insane.
Because I think the first big company to actually do what we're talking about, like data encryption at rest, has been Apple so far, right? They're the first ones to actually roll out that like at a large scale. But I mean, everything that you have that's personal should be encrypted at rest, right? It shouldn't be.
I mean, and part of the fun thing about Apple is that Siri sucks because of it.
I know.
Seriously, like I am willing to take a worse AI product because of the privacy implications that Apple takes relatively more seriously than other companies. But seriously, like I was driving the other day, I was trying to send a text message that said where. And I said, where? And it was like, you are here. And I was like, no, that's
Siri,
not.
I love you because you're an idiot.
And then in addition to that, it also navigated to where I currently was at the same time. It was like, where? Oh, here's where you are. And I'm also going to nav you to where you already are. I'm like, at that point, I'm like, just take my data and make it better. But then I'm like, no.
So Ben from KC's been on fire. He's like, here you go, expecting Congress to do something again.
No, we just have to leak their Tesla video footage, right?
Yeah,
there
we
go.
Spicy.
Yeah.
Extra.
That's true. You got the 150 tribe, like John said. You have to make it matter, right?
We're missing the big picture here. There's 4D chess going on, and it just occurred to me, right? Elon bought Twitter and is slowly destroying it to turn it into a cam site for people in Tesla cars.
Tesla is going to become chat roulette, but in cars. Is that what you're saying?
I know this is a joke, but I kid you not. If you could pay an additional subscription to get like a Restream/Twitch subscription that you could hook your Tesla footage into, people would 100% do that.
Oh, totally.
Oh my God.
And it would start with some BS thing like karaoke in cars, and it'd be
of course.
And then it's just nation state sponsored.
It's just like trucker, which, by the way, this is another like topic that just entered my brain. This level of insane creepiness is already the standard for commercial drivers. Like, I don't know if you guys know, Amazon drivers,
so true.
like Amazon drivers are monitored to the second. Like if they don't deliver X number of packages per hour or per minute, it'll actively, or like they can't look away. They can't look at the phone. They can't do certain things. Like, the amount of telemetry that's being gathered on commercial drivers is absolutely ridiculous. So, like, I don't know. Is it now just expanding to civilians somehow? It's like, for a commercial driver, I sort of get it, but it's still a little bit invasive. But when you're talking about a personal situation, it's so much worse.
But it's like you talked about, this is going to go down to, like, I'm just waiting for insurance companies to basically hook into your car, hook it, just like Cameron was talking about. What were they going to do with it?
They have already, don't they?
Until it's like you're going to directly connect right into your insurance company, or anytime that there's a car accident, the insurance company can pull the video of what you were doing right before that car accident. Like, what
was the insurance company? There was an insurance company that you would, if you plugged in an OBD2 sensor.
Yes. No, this is standard now.
Yes.
Progressive.
State Farm. That's State Farm has that.
There's also
everyone has it.
Semi-trucks have had this for years, though, right? So if a semi-truck revs too high or red lines, you can actually remotely decrease the power in several different ways and watch the driver. Mm-hmm. So all that's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, all
semi-trucks. Semi-trucks have cameras inside of them
Yes.
to go ahead and show. And I know this from personal experience because this just happened to my wife where she got hit by a semi. And we have been fighting to go ahead and get the camera footage from that semi to show that she was not at fault. And they are throwing they're basically saying you need a warrant for it all at this point in time. The insurance company can't even get it.
Yeah.
What?
They're claiming that they will not give it up without a warrant. This is where we are at with these sorts of things.
You're in arbitration, aren't you?
But that's it, Mike. That's it.
That's what it is.
What is it? The future is here. What the William Gibson quote? The future is here. It's unevenly distributed.
Correct.
So you have all of this stuff, and it works. If it works against you, right? They're going to use it. But if it works against a large organization, then they're going to fight you tooth and nail, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know. And White Cyberduck wished your wife well, as everybody.
She's okay. Luckily, it was a very low speed crash. Nobody was hurt or anything.
It's a freaking semi truck. Even low speed is
the semi truck turned left into her.
Oh God!
Yeah, there's a lot of formulas.
It's a $1 million vehicle, but that's all right. Wasn't going.
What's that, Cameron?
It's only like $1 million vehicle. Doesn't matter. It's only going 20 miles an hour.
The weight ratio is off the charts, right?
So hold on.
Into a Kia Soul.
So we're talking about all these
consumers could do to stop this.
Yeah,
drive an old car.
There it is. There's the question. But we have to care first, right?
I keep a DAuth and a cell phone blocker repeater in my car, so no signals get out of my. No, I don't really.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think genuinely as consumers, like the only thing we could do would be to somehow like prioritize with our wallets, which I know this our argument doesn't even make sense. The whole voting with your wallet thing doesn't actually no one really does it. But like if there was vehicles that specifically like an Apple of vehicles that's like we do data, everything's enclosed in the car, everything we don't harvest your data, we aren't monitoring, we can't help you in the event of a crash, all your data, all that stuff. But that's not what people want. I think we have to want that level of service, and maybe it will exist. But for now, people would actually give away their privacy for me to automatically be nabbed to McDonald's because it detected I was hungry for my blood glucose sensor that I have hooked into my Tesla or whatever.
I specifically knew that you wanted a quarter pounder.
My Neuralink was like, order quarter pounder. My Tesla was like, taking you. It's so fast.
I think that's an excellent transition to something because we have Eric on here who has not joined us before, but we're talking about things that exist and are running inside of our systems. Eric, aren't you doing a webcast this week on hardening?
Oh my gosh, that's right. We have a webcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, and apparently my video doesn't want to cooperate, but whatever. Yeah, we're going to talk about hardening IT operations on Wednesday. And there's about 45 billion topics that would fall underneath that umbrella. So
I was going to say,
focusing this time on moving beyond two-factor auth and including more. So whether there is, IP address whitelisting or certificates or various other opportunities to lock down beyond just getting 2FA. So that's kind of the starting point. In many ways, it's a huge discussion that we could have, many follow-up discussions about. But yeah.
But it's the beginning, right? It's the starting point, taking it on from there.
So come tune into that webcast. But I mean, are you going to tell us how to block our Tesla cameras from taking us to McDonald's?
Yeah, always. Yeah. That's the main thing. That's
hard.
Well, you know what? In many ways, it starts with being cynical about IT, right?
Right.
We have to both enjoy technology and be cynical about it at the same time. And so having a level of cynicism of our own IT operations and our own new tech toys, including Nests and Teslas and everything else, is a vital first step to making sure we're actually being resilient and secure.
Nice. Awesome. You doing that? What is that? Wednesday at 3?
Yeah, 3 Eastern.
Awesome. Come tune in, folks. If you like us ranting, you like this too. So yeah, excellent. What other stories do we got?
There's so many.
Oh my gosh,
so many.
There was like I said, apparently.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Hank Hoffman, reporting live tonight from Baltimore on an HBS NewsHour special report. I've got with me in the studio tonight Carl Crabb from Carl Crabb Cyber College in Baltimore. Hey, Carl, how are you doing tonight?
Oh, Hank, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm a little steamed, but it's okay. I'm really happy to be here to talk to you about these important training issues.
Carl, you're feeling a little steamed. I'm confused. You have this fantastic training event that everybody's talking about around town. It's on let's see, the 27th and the 28th of April, right? I mean, everybody's talking about this event. It sounds fantastic. What's getting you getting under your shell?
See, even the news media, Hank, even the news media, that is anti-siphon. These are the jokers I've been trying to warn people about. They come in. This is Carl Crabb's cyber country, right? Cyber College, Carl Crabb, Baltimore. It goes together like Old Bay on Ravens, right? It's amazing. But these guys, they're coming in from, these folks, they're coming in from South Dakota. Who knows what these jokers about? I don't know. So they're gonna come in and offer this training on the 27th and 28th at B-Sides Charm, that's my territory. And they're gonna offer it for low cost, with high quality trainers. I mean, what are they doing to a local business crab like me?
Oh, well, Carl, I mean, from what I see here of this event, and I quite apologize. I thought this was your event, so some of my notes here are probably going to be a little bit off. But I mean, I'm seeing some fantastic instructors. Malware Jake, I mean, this guy's legendary. John Strand, I mean, come on. I mean, this looks like a fantastic lineup. I mean, these are top-notch professionals here. Sounds like a great deal. I mean,
okay, first off, it's not a great deal. You know why? First, expertise, that's what you want? No, the world of cyber is vague, and it's got a lot of three-letter acronyms, and you can basically just make up whatever you want. Now, these folks are coming in, and they're trying to use expertise and experience to teach people. And look at the prices. Don't they realize this is Baltimore? This is government dollars country. You can take all those dollars in. And I'm looking at these trainers and these classes, and how's a local business crab supposed to compete with something like this? These outsiders coming into Baltimore, scuttling all over my bay. I tell you, I don't know how to handle it.
Carl, thank you so much. I love everything you're saying. We appreciate you joining us tonight on this special edition. And thank you, everybody, also for joining us. And we'll see you on the 27th and the 28th in Baltimore for this.
No, that's the anti-siphon folks again. No, you don't stay away from B-Side Charm. I'm going to scuttle out of here. I can't handle this anymore.
I didn't know that Anthony Kiedis did newscasting in Baltimore.
Also, why did you walk sideways at the end?
Give it away now.
Well, first off, Carl just can't take direction.
No, he can't. Carl
just go sideways.
Carl just
Did
can't.
this take like 50 takes for Carl to get that right?
Oh my god,
that was one take.
That was
I
that was
totally
all
see that.
weekend.
It's like Batman. There is no Ian. It's just Carl.
It's just the costumes that John buys.
Ian is the costume.
Oh my gosh.
No, but in all seriousness, like we fun ways for us to let you know that, hey, if you're in Baltimore, we're going to be out in Baltimore. So if you want to see us live, come see us live. And don't forget, we got a free event on Thursday. Come hang out. Even if you don't want to come to training, even if you're not coming to Charm, come hang out at the free event on Thursday. It's going to be fun.
It's kind of weird. People are like, Baltimore? Yes, Baltimore is a fun town. It's going to be a blast. Come check it out.
So okay, like John, you mentioned during the intro that Pizza Hut was still a company, but what was that article? Because were you just like waxing philosophical?
Right there, KFC, Pizza Hut. There it is. He's got it. Yeah, KFC, Pizza Hut owners disclose data breach after ransomware attack. So that's I'm sorry, I was always reading this. I just kept thinking of that Simpsons meme. Stop. He's already dead.
They had to shut down 300 Pizza Huts in the UK.
So wait, all of them. Hold on.
Yeah, wow.
Right?
Hold on. First of all, how did Pizza Hut get to the UK? And second of all, UK, I'm sorry. But
actually,
I mean,
to be honest, it's probably a step up for food in the UK.
Going spicy with the hot take.
Shots fired, hot take. Here we go.
will say their chicken nuggets suck.
I'm not worried about that fight at all. You can keep Gordon Ramsay.
Oh, we've already won. Is that what you said?
Well, he went to France, so it doesn't matter. But so okay, this is ransomware. I mean, this is major. I mean, this is like Yum Brands. Apparently, it's called Yum ! Brands. Do you think they have a lot of input validation if they have the exclamation point?
They have an exclamation point.
Hold on. This is what killed me though. So if you read the article, the thing that they says that they got data on, or that they got some personal data, and the people are being known, and they said they had personal information, including driver's license and non-identifying driver's license numbers and stuff.
For employees, right?
It must be. I mean, are the customers going in like, can I get a pizza? Yeah, I got to see some ID though.
Oh, hold on there. Well, we got to check if you're on the list of do not pizza.
Well, but it said notifying customers, and then it said driver's license. So I'm just confused. Okay.
I have no idea. Just
I can't think of an example. If let's just put it this way: if Pizza Hut had your driver's license, you need to rethink your life decisions.
Yeah, they probably need the drivers, not their customers, but definitely the people who work there. Right?
Yeah.
Like if you're driving
Why?
for them,
Oh,
insurance,
maybe if you're a pizza delivery person.
Pizza delivery guy. Yeah, they gotta have your.
You all.
James Randolph has the actual hot take, which is: are the 11 herbs and spices safe?
KFC.
So did you ever hear about the Kentucky Fried Chicken Twitter account for years?
Yes.
No, please enlighten us.
They literally just followed 11 guys with the name Herb and the Spice Girls. That was it for years. And finally one guy figured it out on Twitter. He goes, I just found out that like Kentucky Fried Chicken is only following 11 dudes named Herb and the Spice Girls. And they literally made a painting of him riding on the back with Colonel Sanders. Like,
so wait, I didn't know that Ian did the Twitter account for.
He did the marketing. He did the marketing for KFC.
I would do a hot second. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Really good.
Yum.
All right, folks. So let's wrap it up. Also, this is not just brought by Anti-Siphon, Black Hills Information Security. We do hackery type things and anti-hackery things. If you can think of a hackery or an anti-hackery thing, it's probably a thing that we do. And you should. Man, we suck at this, Ian. We aren't very good.
We're very bad.
How would I do this like corporate?
Do we have a website
probably sucking
or something?
At capitalism. I
Do
don't
we have
know.
a website? Do we get?
I don't know how to do it any other way.
Can we just turn off our website and just see what people email us about?
I thought the website was getting like a revamp or something.
We're trying to revamp the website because our website is awful. It's not doing us any favors at all.
Yeah, I clicked through about 6 SSL errors.
We throw about 6 SSL.
So wait, why don't we just
as you click accept, it keeps forwarding you deeper. It's like you need a pen test. So
at 7,
just
you actually get a free exploit.
Yeah, you get a free exploit. It's a little coupon. Yeah. Here you go. So
yeah.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us. Check out the webcast. We're super excited about it. And hopefully we'll see you in Baltimore because that'll be a good time. Oh, it's also virtual too. So if you really want to piss Carl the Crab off because they have like 90% profit margins at Carl the Crab's organization, it's ridiculous. You take it virtual for half price. So check it out there.
Yeah. If you need more information on that, I could send you somewhere else, but you can go straight to carlcrabcyber.com. And if you want to email Carl Crab, you can email him at carl@carlcrabcyber.com. And maybe next week, Carl will respond to your emails. So
we should respond to some.
Oh, that's
Carl
happening.
All live.
All live. All right. Thanks, everybody. Talk to you later.